So this is what you're gonna need. You're gonna need a little dish for your dip powder. Your dip powder, this one I use a translucent powder because I'm doing a gel nail polish. And then you're gonna need nail prep, dehydrator, and then your dip powder, base, and activator. So this is the base. This is what the dip powder adheres to, and it also works as a top coat. I personally don't like it as a top coat. And this is the activator. This is what solidifies the dip powder. And I have soft gel nail tips. I love these nail tips because they're already cut to a good length and they're already shaped, so it makes the process much easier. Then I have the KDS nail glue to glue on the nail tips. Please be careful with this glue because it's very, very, very strong. So before I start anything, I start with nail prep. Nail prep is super important to me. I start with drilling my nails or e-filing them, so it's a nice surface for your dip powder to adhere to. And I use this cordless nail drill that I got for Christmas. I love this thing. It actually changed the game for me. I took this thicker nail bit and I just start filing my nails. I don't like to spend too much time on one nail. I just like to file it, get a nice surface going for the dip powder. And then I don't know if you can see, I have a sharper nail bit that I'm gonna use later for my cuticles. When I say this is the most important step, it really is the most important step because this is how I can get my nails to last 4 weeks. And this part is pretty optional, but I like to lift up my cuticles a little bit and then cut them later with a cuticle cutter. I just feel like I like that look better once I have the dip powder on. I feel like it just looks very nice and clean in my opinion, but it's very optional. I heard it's not good to cut your cuticles. I don't know. And then the final step of nail prep is just putting that nail prep dehydrator on your nails just to get rid of any excess natural oils that our bodies produce. Now I'm just fitting each nail tip to each finger just to make sure it's a good fit before I glue it on. Now I'm taking the KDS nail glue and I'm gluing each tip to each nail. And I like to count 20 seconds just to make sure the nail tip is stuck to my nail. And like I said before, please be careful because you can end up gluing your fingers together and it's very painful to take apart. For a majority of this video, I will be showing just one hand, but everything I'm doing with one hand, I'm doing with the other. Once all my nail tips are glued on, I take this nail cutter or clipper or whatever you want to call it and just cut it down to my desired length. I do like the original length of the tips, but I just kind of wanted a shorter look today. I go back in with my e-file just to even out the tips with my actual nail because sometimes I feel like the tip can be slightly raised, so I just take the e-file just to even it out. Before we put our base nail polish on, I do like to make sure that I'm brushing away all the excess debris, all the excess dust from the filing just to make sure I have a nice even surface. So the technique that I like to use is called the apex technique. I start off with just one swipe, not the full nail, just one swipe. Sorry that the camera is not focused, but one thin swipe, and then I dip it into the dip powder. When I put my finger into the dip powder dish, I like to hold it there for a few seconds and then take it out and tap off the excess dip powder back into the bowl because we do not waste dip powder around here. But sometimes I feel like the powder doesn't cover the entire swipe of base coat, so I like to just double dip, if that makes sense. Whatever powder doesn't come off when I tap, I take a brush that I use specifically for my nails. I take that and just swipe off the excess powder. Now that layer 1 is done, we have 3 more layers to go. With this second layer, I'm going to do the same thing, but just cover a little bit more of my nail. I like this technique because it creates such a strong foundation, and I rarely experience my nail breaking when I do this method. So now I'm just doing a second coat. For coat number 3 and 4, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm covering my entire nail. I feel like 3 coats is fine, but 4 coats, I get just a really strong foundation and I don't have to worry about any part of my nail breaking off. So once again, I cover my entire nail with the base coat and then I dip it into the dip powder and I do it again for the 4th and final coat. So I cover my nail, dip it into the powder, wipe off the excess dip powder, cover my nail again, dip it into dip powder again. Once all 4 coats are completed, I take the activator and I put that on the nail, and the activator basically does what it says. It activates the dip powder and solidifies it and it becomes a hard nail. So without the activator, you just have powder and gel just sitting on your nail. So the activator is very, very, very important. And then I'm just going to simply repeat the same process for all of my nails. And here we have the finished product, the dip powder base. Now I'm going to start filing it and making sure it's a nice square shape. I like to really file the inside and the top just so I can get a nice square shape. I do like to do a slight coffin. Like when I say slight, a slight coffin. Just so it can look nice and feminine and not too boxy. Once I file my nails, I take my e-file and I just like to even out the nail because sometimes dip powder can be a little bumpy. So it's really good to kind of just even that out with an e-file. It does a great job at doing that. You know. And let's just take a moment to appreciate that base and the shape. Acrylic who? Who needs acrylic when you have dip powder? Like, what? And this is the gel polish that I will be using, but right before I use that, I just like to buff out my nails one last time. Make sure we just have a nice, clean surface to work on. And with this specific gel nail polish, it's very sheer, so it takes like 3 or 4 coats to get a good color. But honestly, with this nail polish, it's really up to you. You could do 1 coat, you could do 2 coats, 3, 4. I wouldn't do 5. I wouldn't go over 4. This is definitely one of those nail polishes that are buildable. Once I added my 3 coats and I cured each coat for 60 seconds, I added my top coat and I cured that for 90 seconds. Honestly, I could have cured it for 60 seconds, but I just feel like since it's the top coat, it needs more time to cure. That's just my own logic. And I am not a professional in any way, shape, or form. I didn't go to school to study this. I just learned from a bunch of videos. It's not perfect, but it works for me. And doing this has saved me so much money, guys. Like, you don't even understand. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe and let me know if you want to see more nail videos.